Hello, everyone. My name is Mirna, and on behalf of the Mindalia TV team, welcome to Mindalia live streaming, where thousands of people around the world gather daily to see the lectures and interviews organized by Mindalia TV. Today, with us, Angel Rebo, CEO, consultant, TV host, international public speaker, and president of the Wisdom for Kids Foundation, is co-hosting with our dear Dan Blanchard. Dan is a best-selling and award-winning author. He is a speaker and an educator. But before starting with them and our very special guest, we want to remind you that Mindalia's mission is to share information that can help raise the level of consciousness in the planet. And you can help us with that by subscribing to our channel, leaving us a positive comment down this video, or sharing it with someone that you know that can benefit of the content that we're going to be talking here today. Also, while we are live streaming, we're going to be having an active chat. It's the screen you're going to see here on my side or under the video. In case that you're following us from a smartphone, and through there, you can interact with us. We also want you to collaborate with Mindalia with your own valuable content. For that, you can go to our website. On the top, you're going to be finding a link. It says collaborate with Mindalia. That link takes you to a form that you can fill out for our technical team to be getting in contact with you. We are not going to be delaying this any further, and I have the great pleasure to leaving the screen to Dan, to Angel, and to Shawn Flynn. Guys, welcome to Mindalia live streaming. The screen is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much for such a wonderful introduction, Mirna, as always. And welcome back to the show, Dan. Hey, how are you?
Wonderful, Angel. It's good to see you again. How you been?
Very well, very well. Thank you. Exactly. So it's been a while since we were together, but we are back together here, and we have another amazing guest to have an incredible conversation with. Isn't that true?
Absolutely. I say let the good times roll, right? So our guest today is Shawn Flynn. He's an author, publisher, and speaker, and Shawn has won more awards than we can shake a stick at. I lost track after maybe the 100th award that Shawn has won. And Shawn, welcome to the show. So glad to have you here tonight.
Hey, Dan, how are you? Hey, Angel, thanks for having me on the program tonight, guys.
Absolutely. The pleasure is ours. Thank you. Thank you, and welcome to Mindalia TV, obviously.
So, Shawn, maybe you can fill in our audience a little bit on your bio, maybe fill in some gaps of some things I haven't covered yet. About you being an author, publisher, speaker, your kitty book, all that.
Sure.
We'll get you started with that.
Absolutely. My book is titled The Kitty Who Rescued Me After I Rescued Him. It's a story about me and my cats, focusing on the first cat I rescued, the positive impact he had on me, and how having him in my life helped me through a difficult time. As you mentioned, I've won several awards for the story. I won a Reader's Favorite Book Award in 2017. I was also a finalist in both the International Book Awards and the Best Book Awards competitions. And just this past December, I won first place in 3 categories in Top Shelf Magazine's 2018 Indie Book Awards, which was very exciting.
Absolutely. And Shawn, you're a Connecticut author that I've gotten to know over the last couple of years. It's just been so impressive watching you win one award after another, after another, after another. And you've got such a great niche, in there with the kitties, the cats, cat lovers. And if we can visit your story real quick, I mean, I basically heard that this kitty that you rescued, that rescued you, I basically heard that kitty was living at your property before you were living there. Could you kind of fill us in on what that was all about?
Yeah, he sure was. According to my next door neighbor, he had actually been living in my backyard for 2 or 3 years. I met him about 2 months before I moved into my house, when I was walking through the backyard with a realtor. This big, bushy, orange, fluffy cat came over, rubbed up against my leg. He was real friendly. I just thought he was a neighbor's cat, and I didn't think much of it. I ended up moving into that house, which is the house I currently live in. About 2 months later, I moved in on a Saturday. I got home from work Monday evening about 5:30, and he was sitting on the front step like he was waiting for me to get home. And the story details how we met. We obviously met under unique circumstances, how our relationship developed over the course of several months, how he ended up stealing my heart, and how I fell in love with him.
That's such a cool story. And it reminds me of, Shawn, many years ago, I was buying this house, And I was talking to the lady and this and that, and she's telling me about she's got no place for the dog, and she thought she was maybe gonna have to turn the dog into a shelter. And my heart's breaking, and I'm looking over, and the dog is licking my little girl's face. My little girl was only about 2 at the time, and my wife's looking at me going, get the dog, get the dog, get the dog, because it was kind of like the dog's house. What I'm saying? So I just, when I heard that story about your kitty already being there and thinking that it's kind of like the kitty's house in a way, and you just kind of moved in. I had the same experience with a dog that I had a long time ago named Hope. I kind of felt that it was kind of like the dog's house, and I was just moving in. But going back to your story, Shawn, it seemed like this kitty really liked you, and really there was like an attraction to you, a draw to you. I mean, do you have any idea what that might have been? What attracted that kitty to you?
Well, they say that cats choose their owners. Owners don't choose their cat. I think the property had something to do with it as well. He had obviously been living in the backyard, again, according to my neighbor, for 2 or 3 years, eating mice and birds and stuff like that. I think that a neighbor also might have been feeding him too, because he certainly wasn't scrawny. He looked like he had been well fed. But, his coat was matted, so he needed to be groomed. He was full of fleas and ticks, and so he needed a good cleaning up. And, so of course I took him to the vet and got him his shots, and, I had to get him dewormed because he had worms. And I understand that that's typically a side effect of eating mice for cats.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
And what do you think? So you said that, the cats choose their owner. So what do you think is that lesson that you had to learn from your cat?
Well, I didn't have I hadn't had a lot of experience with cats before I met Kitty. Certainly I had friends over the years who have cats, and I interacted with their cats. And my sister brought home a cat when I was in high school, but that was her cat. It wasn't my cat. And certainly, I interacted with her cat as well. But I never really had a cat of my own. I never developed the kind of bond with a cat that I did with Kitty. And it didn't happen, instantaneously. I mean, it happened over the course of several months. And that's what I detail and outline in my book. How we met, how our relationship developed, how, I would be working in the backyard, and all of a sudden I'd look over and he'd be sitting there laying in the grass, hanging out with me. He just wanted to be with me. Or in the evening when I got home from work, I'd be sitting on the back porch, hanging out, relaxing after work before I ate dinner. And he would come sauntering along and jump up on my lap and hang out. And, he was real friendly, and he clearly felt comfortable with me. But again, it also had something to do with the property as well. I think he felt comfortable with the property. So, it was definitely his house. He had been living here a lot longer, before I moved in. So, but it's a great story.
Yeah.
But is there anything specific that you had to learn, that you have felt when you reflect about that, the beginning of your relationship, something that you think that you have been able to learn?
Well, originally, I don't think there was anything that I had to learn, but certainly, after having Kitty in my life for so long, and then, my affection for him leading to me rescuing other cats after that, I really was able to learn and understand the value of relationships, and that relationships need to be nurtured and cultivated. And certainly, Kitty did that with me. I did that with him. I did that with other cats I rescued. When you rescue a cat, an adult cat, and they don't know you, you have to, act a certain way for them to really develop that bond with you, and for them to trust you. And it doesn't happen, necessarily overnight. So I would say that's the biggest thing I learned, was the value of relationships and unconditional love.
Yeah. Well, you certainly took the tougher road, Shawn. I mean, it would have been, you spent your time, your money, your effort, your love, your patience. I mean, it would have been so much easier for you to say, I don't know this cat. This cat's not mine. This cat looks a little beat up, and maybe call animal control or whoever. But you took the tougher road and then eventually even started taking in other cats. What do you think helped you go down that tougher road?
Well, as I mentioned, I met Kitty before I even moved into my house. And he was just really cool. He would always be hanging out with me. He'd be waiting for me to get home at night. I felt bad for him. I started putting food on the back porch with a bowl of water. It was during the summer when I met him, so it was warm outside. And that fall, when it started to get cold out, I put one of those swinging two-way pet doors so that he could have a place to stay in the garage. And he would be sleeping. I put a pillow in the corner of the garage next to his food and water bowl. I moved them in from the porch. And I actually had to show him how to use the swinging two-way door, but he caught on quick. And he would be laying on his pillow every morning in the garage when I left for work. And that fall, or late fall, when it really started to get cold out, he looked up at me one morning when I was leaving for work with those beautiful green eyes and just said, "Dude, it's so cold out here. Just let me in." So I told him, "Yeah, my cats talk to me." And I talked back, of course. But I told him I would. And that Saturday, when I woke up early, I went downstairs. Kitty and I went to the local pet store, and we got him his shots and took him to the groomer, and he got cleaned up. And when I brought him home that Saturday afternoon, he became an indoor cat, something that he had certainly been trying to become for months.
So you say the kitty saved you. What's after you saved it? What do you mean the kitty saved you? What's that all about?
Well, I would recommend that if people want to learn more about how the kitty rescued me, they would have to read the book. But, I can certainly give you a little summary. I went through a divorce. And having Kitty in my life really, having him, having his unconditional love, having his loyalty, that really helped me to get through some difficult personal times.
Yeah. So when Dan was, introducing you in the beginning, he mentioned about so many awards. And that's something that you have in common also, because Dan also has got plenty of awards for his books.
Sure.
And he's also an author.
Yeah.
Would you say that your story resonates with people, and that's why you're getting so many awards? Is that something that story has that makes it so unique, or that people really find themselves in the story?
Sure. All pet people, but specifically cat lovers, identify with my story. People have read my story, said they absolutely, identify with my story. They've experienced the same kinds of emotions that I write about. The same kind of, they've had the same kind of bond with their cat or cats that I write about. And certainly my book is geared toward cat people as the primary audience, but as the secondary audience, pet people in general. I've had people read my book who said they primarily identified themselves as dog people, and they said after reading my book that they were considering getting a cat. So, certainly people, really anyone who's ever needed a friend. We've all gone through difficult times in our life. Yeah. And we've all been in a situation where we just needed a friend. So, even people who aren't necessarily, who don't necessarily identify themselves as pet people can still read and enjoy and identify with my story. But really, pet people identify with it the most.
And it's a great story. Maybe needing a friend, maybe that's like a euphemism for like pet therapy. I can distinctly remember a buddy of mine who had been through a lot of rough years. And at some point, I don't know if it was his doctor or somebody, told him that he should get a pet. Now, he got a dog, not a cat. But I think that dog probably got him through maybe the roughest year of his life. And then in a way, I guess it's sort of like pet therapy. And I know Shawn as an author and myself as an author, many times we say that our writing is therapeutic. You know what I'm saying? And to many people, their pets or their animals are therapeutic. But can you expand upon that a little bit? I mean, how is it that these animals are so therapeutic to us humans? Is it just sort of like the whole friendship thing, or is there more to it?
Well, I would think it's that bond. I mean, if you're feeling low, if you're, whether you're physically not feeling well, if you're emotionally not feeling well, pets can pick up on that. And I can tell you firsthand, because I know my cats have totally been able to pick up on the, if I'm not feeling well, they're very comforting. They'll come, snuggle with me in bed. They'll even come sit on my chest if I'm laying in bed. And, just that purr, they know when you're not feeling well. They know when you're feeling down. And, they definitely react to that. So I firmly believe that cats were put on this earth to comfort their human companions.
The fact that you wrote the book, has it changed your life in any way?
Well, yeah, I go to cat shows 2 or 3 times a month now.
Okay.
Which I never did before. But yeah, certainly, I mean, promoting your book and marketing your books certainly requires a lot of work. And, so I tend to, don't get me wrong, I enjoy the people I meet at cat shows, but obviously I started doing that 2 years ago because I was invited 2 years ago. I was invited to my first cat show in Auburn, Massachusetts. And, the woman who was organizing the show reached out to me, saying, you got this book. I read it. I really enjoyed it. We'd love to have you as a guest at our cat show. And I said, sure. So I went to this cat show and I recognized immediately that, I had a captive audience for my book. And, people were very excited and enthusiastic about my book, and they wanted to hear my story and they wanted to learn more. And, I started going to cat shows, and now I get invited to cat shows all over the country. I don't go to all the ones I'm invited to. I generally go to the ones that are within driving distance from where I live. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was invited to a cat show in Timonium, Maryland, right outside of Baltimore, on the 21st and 22nd of June. And, I didn't even know about this cat show, but these people reached out to me and asked me if I would be interested in coming to the cat show. So that's certainly one of the ways my life has been changed. In addition, I volunteer with several local cat rescue groups in my area. I help with them with fundraisers and promotional activities. Whenever they do a fundraiser, I send out a press release, and I notify, I prepare the press release and send it out to the local media, and, so that they're able to get more people to participate in the fundraiser, things like that.
Yeah. Well, I know, Shawn, from seeing you over the last few years and knowing you, I've seen the passion that people have towards your cause and what you do. And it's very, very impressive. And you said that people reach out to you and tell you about cat shows and invite you. I'm sure some people have reached out to you with maybe touching letters or touching emails about maybe how you or your book has helped them or changed their life in some way. Can you think of any unique ones that come to mind?
Oh, I get emails almost weekly, not every week, but almost weekly. Generally, after I spend the weekend at a cat show, the emails will start coming in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. People got my book, they read it, they wanted to, share their story about their cat and how their cat, the positive impact their cat had on them, like Kitty and my other cats have had on me. So, that's pretty exciting. Actually, people actually bring their cats to meet me when I go to these cat shows. And certainly, Dan, you've seen some of the, posts I posted to social media where people actually bring their cat to the cat show to meet me, which is very exciting. Actually, I was at a festival in Rhode Island, Memorial Day weekend, and I met a woman on Sunday afternoon. She got my book for her daughter, who was a big cat person. And the following day on Monday, it was a 3-day festival. The following day on Monday, her daughter actually brought the cat to the festival to meet me. So that was pretty exciting. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Wow,
And I think back, go ahead, Angel.
No. I was just gonna say, yeah, definitely that changes, someone's life after everything that you're explaining. And you mentioned before that the cat helped you a lot to go through a divorce. Let me ask you maybe a kind of interesting question for our audience, which is, do you think that when you need it the most, cats give you that unconditional love that sometimes humans are not able to give?
Oh, absolutely. With humans, it's always conditional. I shouldn't be that pessimistic, but yeah, cats certainly the unconditional love, unconditional. So
I second that, Shawn. There are times I walk around my house talking to my dog, knowing it's not going to talk back to me. Maybe something like, "Oh, well, Will, I got to go get my shoes now so I can go outside," or something. It's just crazy stuff. But you never have to worry about an animal making fun of you or think you're saying something stupid. There's no doubt about it. But on top of that, Shawn, what I gotta say is, what is it about having pets that makes human beings better people?
Well, I think that having a pet, as I mentioned, certainly opened up my eyes toward, taking care of an animal. It's you can't be selfish. Certainly the animal is dependent on you. Once you rescue an animal, once you have a pet, you have to be committed to take care of that. You have to be committed to the life of the pet, to take care of that pet for the remainder of its life. And I know sometimes circumstances arise, unforeseen circumstances that require people to, surrender their cat or their dog. But, barring those unforeseen tragic circumstances, people need to understand that adopting or rescuing a pet is a lifelong commitment, the life of the pet. And you need to be committed to doing that. I've spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on my pets or my cats, not just taking care of them, but the most expensive thing about owning a cat or any pet are the vet bills. I rescued a cat. I named him Gypsy, but I rescued him several years back, and 2 or so months after I rescued him, he developed a medical problem that cost me almost $2,000. I had to take him to the vet, and he had to have an emergency procedure or he would have died. And it cost me almost $2,000. And then, of course, the follow-up vet visits and stuff like that. Every time you go to a vet, every time you take your pet to the vet, it's $300. So, pets are expensive, but they rely on you to take care of them. And it's a very important responsibility.
Yeah, no doubt. And responsibility does make, I think, a person a better person when, building character and that commitment that you were talking about. And Shawn, it drives me crazy when I see people who are not taking good care of their pets. They don't have the understanding that you have, but this lifelong commitment and how important it is. And stepping up to plate makes you a better human being. They don't have that understanding. So is there anything we can do to help people who, let's say, maybe are not taking good care of their pets? Is there anything we could do to help them better understand that it's a win-win?
Well, I think if people aren't taking care of the pet they already have, no one's going to, make them recognize or make them understand or make them realize that they need to, step up to the plate and do a better job of taking care of their pet. They need to know that. I don't know if there's anything that you or I could do to change that. So I can't think of anything.
I know, that's a tough question. I don't know how to answer it either, but maybe shows like this, when we bring that out to the public conscious, maybe something like that could help a little bit.
Well, certainly my book helps people to understand the value of a pet and how rescuing or adopting one can really help to improve their life or the lives of those that do so. But if people adopt a pet and they don't already understand that, I'm not sure they ever will.
That's true. And I know we've been talking a little bit about responsibility and that the kitty needed you. Unfortunately, most people hear that word responsibility and they run the other direction. I mean, is there anything that we can do to help people understand the magic of being needed? I mean, you talked about how your kitty was looking up at you with those big green eyes going like, boy, it's getting really cold out there. You know what I'm saying? And that was like melting your heart. You felt needed. You didn't feel like the dread of that word responsibility. You didn't run the other way. To you, it was a magical moment. I mean, how do we do that without it?
He needed me, and I eventually needed him. So, yeah.
So I think people need to understand that whole word responsibility, they don't need to dread it and run away. It comes down to just being needed, and that being needed is nice. It feels good to feel needed. You feel like you're productive. You're a good citizen. You're a good human, kind person, which, Shawn, I know you are. You're a very kind person. And I think maybe a lot of people out there maybe undervalue kindness. I mean, how important do you see kindness?
Oh, kindness is very important. I think it's important to be kind to everyone. I mean, unless, of course, they're not kind to you.
But animals included, right?
Well, I don't know. Even my animals, I've had my animals not be so kind to me. And, certainly, pets, I mean, cats have, all cats have their own unique personalities. And, sometimes cats get upset with you. I've had my cats scratch me. I've even had my cats bite me. But the particular instance I'm thinking of where my cat Tigger bit me, it was during the middle of the night. He was asleep in bed. I moved and he bit my hand because I think I startled him. So it was an accident. Like, he didn't mean to hurt me, But, I mean, have my cats been naughty where I needed to reprimand them? Sure. But it's not like I hit them or I kick them or I do anything like that. I'll just yell at them. Like, they know they're not supposed to get on the counter in the kitchen. And, of course, every now and then I go walk into the kitchen and one or two of them will be up on the counter. So I have to yell at them. They immediately get off the counter. Or they hear my footsteps and they get off the counter before I even come walking around the corner.
That sounds like my dog when I hear it jumping off the couch when I come into the house.
Oh, the dog's not supposed to be on the couch.
Yeah, it jumps right off. Sir Angel, you got a few of those stories, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, unfortunately, we had a pet for a while, but we had to, give it to someone else because our kids couldn't take care of him. But to the point that you were mentioning about kindness and how pets change people's lives, obviously, you, Shawn, when you are so exposed to rescuing cats, that means that you're really exposed to seeing a lot of cats with many different conditions and circumstances. And that also means that you're exposed to their owners, right? You definitely, when you see someone's cat or a cat in a particular condition, that you probably are able also to see, oh my God, that's unfortunately what their owners missed or what they didn't do right. I guess you're really seeing and finding cats with different kinds of conditions, right? When you rescue them.
Well, the cats that I've rescued have already, they don't have an owner. They're either stray or they've been abandoned. Okay. So typically, unfortunately, too many people in this day and age, they move into a new apartment or decide they want to get a cute little kitten, and a year or two later, they have to move out of their apartment and they're moving into a different living situation. And the new living situation doesn't allow for pets. So they just open the door and tell the cat to get out. And that's how a lot of cats end up abandoned. And, you know, they have to fend for themselves. They eat out of dumpsters. They get into fights with other cats. You know, they potentially get hit by cars or get, you know, have all kinds of problems as a result of being abandoned. In the circumstance of a stray cat might not like its living situation. Maybe its owner isn't, you know, that tentative to, you know, or that attentive to it. Maybe the owner, you know, travels a lot, so they just kind of like, you know, put a bowl of food on the back porch. I mean, some people have indoor-outdoor cats. My cats are indoor cats only. I do not let them out. You know, I don't want to run the risk of them getting into fights with other cats, getting hit by cars, getting eaten by coyotes or something like that. So my cats all remain inside. They never go outside unless they're in a cat carrier and they're going to the vet or they're going to the groomer.
Wow. How many cats do you have now, Shawn?
I currently have 3 cats.
Cool.
Is that normal that you have 3 cats?
Oh, I'm sorry, what's that, Angel?
No. Is it normal that you have 3 cats? Have you ever had more?
Yeah, I've had 4 cats at one time. Yes. All of the cats I have, with the exception of 1, were rescues. And when I say rescues, meaning, you know, rescued from like an apartment complex eating out of a dumpster. Like when I rescued Gypsy, I mentioned him a few moments ago. I met him at an apartment complex. He was real friendly. You know, I had seen him coming from the dumpster a couple of times, so obviously he was eating out of the dumpster. He was all scrawny, so he obviously wasn't getting fed on a regular basis. But he was real friendly. You know, he wanted me to pet him. He rubbed up against me. He had clearly been someone's pet. And the first vet I took him to actually scanned him, and he had been microchipped. So he had one of those microchips on the back of his neck. And they were actually, the microchip company was actually able to contact the former owner, who didn't seem interested in getting Gypsy back. So whether Gypsy was a stray cat or whether he was abandoned, I tend to lean toward he was abandoned, because if he was just a stray cat, the former owner would have wanted to get him back.
Yeah, you would think so. So this kitty that you had, Shawn, very, very special kitty. He motivated you, drove you, I would say, to write your book, The Kitty Who Rescued Me After I Rescued Him. Do you have another? And it's been such a super hit, your book. I mean, it's been awesome. I mean, do you have another book in you? Or is there someone
Absolutely.
going to drive you write another one?
Absolutely. I'm working on another one. Absolutely. Yeah.
What's the motivation behind the next one?
Well, it's another story about me and my cats. It's just basically like a continuation.
A continuation of the same cat plus the others?
Well, it's just it's basically about, I mean, The Kitty Who Rescued Me After I Rescued Him is obviously about me and my cats, but it focuses primarily on the first cat I rescued, you know, and how he impacted me. I mean, it was almost a spiritual type. He had almost a spiritual effect on me. I mean, he had more of an impact on me than most people have. So, you know, which says a lot. I mean, I care about my cats more than I do most people.
Yeah.
It's funny that you say that, Shawn, because here at Mindalia TV, we have had some people that they openly say that they're able to communicate spiritually with their cats or with their dogs. Have you ever thought of it? Have you ever thought that the connection allows you to know exactly what your cats are thinking, or they know what you're thinking?
Absolutely. And I mentioned that earlier about how, you know, cats are very intuitive. They know when you're feeling down. They know when you're not feeling well, and when you kind of need, you know, some comforting, and they come hang out with you, and they purr, and they, you know, and having your cat hanging out with you just makes everything all right with the world. No matter what's going on, no matter what kind of a lousy day you had. You know, when you come home, your cat's waiting for you, always happy to see you, you know, loves hanging out with you. So, yeah, it's almost like a spiritual type connection.
Cool. So, Shawn, your cats have driven you to write books, go to cat shows, hit the road, travel all over the country. And on the other side of the column, they've gotten you to go to cat shelters, cat rescues, you know, to do good in a world that sometimes isn't always good, especially for animals that you know, don't have a voice of their own many times. I mean, what do you see next? What's next down the road for you? You're going to be doing more of these do good cat shelters, rescues. What do you think you'll be doing down the road?
I absolutely am in the process of writing another book. Again, one about me and my cats. You know, further adventure of Shawn and his cats, but that's not the title of the book. But I'm not going to give the title away right now, or the working title. But yeah, I'm certainly going to continue to participate with cat shows. I'm going to certainly continue to participate in the local cat rescue groups that I participate with. One of them, Enfield Community Cat Project, the one I told you I primarily help out. I do like marketing and advertising and promotional work with them. I'm certainly going to continue doing that. So, you know, for the immediate moment, I'm going to continue to do those kinds of things, the things that I've been doing and the things that have helped, you know, me to, you know, positively participate with the cat rescue community. I certainly enjoy doing it. I love the people I've been meeting. I've been meeting tons of great folks. And, you know, if I was still sitting in a cubicle in corporate America, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to meet these people.
Let me ask you something, Dan, because obviously you're so involved in the education of the future of this world, right? You're so engaged and always connected with youth, with young men, young women. Have you ever engaged these men and women, maybe some difficult men, women, young women, that have you ever engaged with them on these conversations about pets or what the pets' role are in their lives? Have you ever entertained these kind of conversations?
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that question up, Angel, because here's the deal. When I get my difficult students, and it's not just like students, it could be adults, but many times, like people that hurt others are usually hurting themselves. And that's why they hurt others. They act rude, they act in hurtful ways, or they just act in mean ways or dispirited ways. And I always say, listen, if you're hurting, if you're feeling down, if you're depressed, usually the best way to begin to turn that around is to go out and help somebody else. When you go out and help somebody else, it gets your mind off of yourself because your mind is now on them. Now, many of them won't do that because they just don't have that trust, you know, in humankind. So then I say, well, listen, I get it. I get it. If you can't find it in you to go out and help somebody else, then do like what Shawn's doing. Go to a cat shelter or a cat rescue, help an animal. I mean, you can have that trust in an animal with that unconditional love. That animal's not going to talk back to you. It's not going to do something to hurt you or betray your trust. You know what I'm saying? So do something for an animal if you can't do something for a human, and you'll find that it takes your mind off of yourself and your problems. And then without even noticing it, you start to feel better about life. And it comes down to that, Shawn, what we were talking about before, about the whole being needed. You know, that whole, it's like entering responsibility through the back door. You know, that whole being needed and now becoming responsible in the cat community, the dog community, or the pet community. And then from there, you can maybe bridge it to your fellow mankind or womankind. And then from there, before you know it, you've had maybe a good stretch of where you haven't been beating yourself up psychologically and emotionally. And now you can hopefully start moving forward with your life. So I just think, Shawn, I'm so glad you're on the show with us tonight, because you give like a lot of the kids, and they don't have to be kids. You know, I teach adult ed too many times, just people in general. You give them an avenue to take their mind off of their problems and to backdoor the way into responsibility, which will make them better people.
I agree. Absolutely. 100%, Dan.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That was a great question, Angel.
No, please, anytime. I mean, we have had so many stories in our show about what's the best way to give those kids other opportunities, and speaking of books and speaking of obviously difficult kids books, so everything is everything is teaching. And what about this book? What about the difficult kids book, Dan? What can you tell us about it?
Oh, I got to tell you, my book, How to Become More Successful with Difficult Students, it just came out like about 2 weeks ago. I'm already speaking this summer. I've been booked to speak in Washington, D.C. at the national conference of the American Federation of Teachers. So like that is huge. And I've already got a couple schools, different schools contacted me. And I imagine the next year, schools are going to be lining up because this is becoming a very timely subject. I hesitate to say raising, but we are raising more and more difficult students, difficult youth, and something has to be done. I don't know, Shawn, maybe every one of them should get a cat or something.
Great idea.
Absolutely. And you guys, you're both authors. You're very successful authors. You're speaking publicly all the time. You're going to all those shows. And that means that your reach, your influence, your impact, which is what really matters, your impact at the end of the day goes beyond your own work and goes, makes this ripple effect every single day. So I wanted to actually wrap up this conversation, this show. Thank you very much, Shawn. I would really like you to share the people. Where can we find your book? Where can we find you so we know more about cats and about your story with cats?
Sure, Angel. The title of my book is The Kitty Who Rescued Me After I Rescued Him. Certainly people can get it from all the usual book channels. Amazon.com. They can get it from Amazon.com. They can get it from BarnesandNoble.com. It's available pretty much from all book retailers worldwide. Certainly, if people want to reach out to me on Facebook, social media, they can reach out to my Facebook page. I have 2 Facebook pages. My personal Facebook page is simply Shawn Flynn, SHAWN, F as in Frank, LYNN, and my avatar is a picture of me with a black and white cat. And then, or they can reach out to my author page, which is ShawnFlynn.author, and my Instagram account is Shawn Flynn Author. So certainly I'd love to hear what people think if they get a chance to check out The Kitty Who Rescued Me After I Rescued Him. Love hearing from readers.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you very much, Shawn. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Angel. Thanks for having me on your program. And thank you, Dan.
You're welcome, Shawn.
Absolutely, Dan. And please, where can we find your latest book and where can we find you?
Oh, definitely check it out on Amazon. How to Become More Successful with Difficult Students. I've got a whole bunch of other books on there. Dan Blanchard, Daniel Blanchard. Google me. You'll see me all over the place. DanBlanchard.net, granddaddy6.com. You'll find me everywhere, Angel.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you again for bringing such an amazing guest today, Dan. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Angel.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. And this is, again, Angel Rebo with Mindalia TV. Thank you, everybody, for being with us today. It's been a pleasure to have you. We hope that you have enjoyed the conversation with Shawn and with Dan as much as we have here. We hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Bye-bye.